everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are breaking down the latest sports news for you. We're talking about league MVP. We're talking about Zion Williamson and a bunch more. But before we dive into all the latest updates, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Tap the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends. We want to grow the Fumble fam. I'm Devin Howard, everybody. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me on all things social media at JRay the Fanatic.
What up, everyone? It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
All right, you guys. So like I mentioned just a second ago, we're going to be talking about Zion Williamson and that legal battle that he's in with his former agent. We are also getting into Scott Foster, that referee, and what he thinks is going to happen without fans in the stadiums. We're discussing league MVP and who Dame thinks should walk away with the win. Chris, what do we have coming up for you in the post-up?
We have an opinion about a subject we talked about yesterday from a rookie, Michael Porter Jr. We're going to talk about that opinion. Russell Westbrook did not like someone telling him he needs to get his hair cut, even though it might be true. We have a fight that might be coming up in the UFC world that people may or may not be excited for. I'm very curious to hear what the panel has to say about it, and some other things up on post up coming up.
And then Jackie, how about
why are you so short right now?
Because my camera.
Like a little guy.
I don't know what's going. What is happening?
Pump your chair up. Pump your chair up. Hey, with your chest.
My camera. Hold on, watch it.
Yeah,
I got it. I'll fix it. Watch it. Hold on.
Yeah.
I got it.
Just a couple inches above your head. That is the golden rule for journalism, Chris. Get it together, my guy.
Jackie, can you tease what's coming up for WTF?
Yes, I'm going to be telling you guys what area I am giving MJ the GOAT status to, and we're going to talk about someone who actually agrees with me and who's not that impressed, but we'll get into all that.
All right. And then Britt, how about you for Britt's takes?
I ain't telling y'all nothing, okay? Like, guess in the comments. I'm sick of giving y'all hints about stuff, and then y'all want to leave and then come back at the end of the show because you want to hear what I got to say to only talk shit to me. So y'all just going to have to wait it out. I give a little bit of takes in between. Like, I might have a take on something Jackie got to say. So y'all just got to stay here and wait.
All right. Wait it out, you guys. But for now, let's jump into Need to Know News, my friends. This first story is all about Zion Williamson and that legal battle he's currently dealing with his former sports agency. So Zion's legal team called Gina Ford's request for the information about whether or not he and his family accepted gifts. So there is so much construction going on outside.
I was like, that sounds like a crying baby. I was
That's what I thought.
Leo, mute your mic. I can hear you, kid.
I keep looking around. Is that me?
I'm so sorry. I just started doing that. That's outside of my apartment, you guys. This isn't going to happen when I'm in my new place this weekend, but just try and ignore it for now. Really
sounds
quickly.
literally like a crying baby.
That's what I thought.
It's
Name me.
Let me find out Devin babysitting over there.
I mean, that wouldn't be a huge surprise. I used to have my nephew over and babysit him all the time, but not since we've been in a pandemic. Anyway, so Zion's team called Gina Ford's requests for that information about whether or not he and his family accepted gifts and monetary, things when he was still a student at Duke invasive and irrelevant. So here's a quick recap. Gina Ford and Prime Sports filed a lawsuit against Zion and his new agents at CAA over the premature termination of her exclusive marketing agreement with him. Zion had filed his own lawsuit in North Carolina federal court saying that his agreement with Prime Sports was invalid because she had not registered with the state as an athlete agent during her time managing Zion. She also accused Zion of accepting benefits from sports brands during his time at Duke, which is a violation of NCAA rules. She, like I said before, requested that he and his family admit they received these illegal benefits while he was still a college player. And then the lawsuit against the Pelican star is seeking $100 million in damages. So, Britt, I know that the last time we talked about this, if I remember correctly, you were Team Gina Ford. So do you think Zion, the whole point of this story, I forgot to mention this, the whole point of this story is the fact that he is requesting a protective order against Gina Ford. So do you think that he is going too far now with this?
I mean, from the beginning, it's gone too far a long time ago. I said, and I think Jackie agreed with this, that they should have just settled this outside of court a long time ago because Zion was in the wrong. There is a contract at that time, and you reneged on your contract. So you this woman money. $100 million is a stretch, but obviously we know how the legal system works. You ask for this amount of money and you end up getting somewhere down here. So I get why she just said that ballpark number, because she knows she's probably going to get a little less than half of that. But just like at some point, just pay this woman. This is going to continue going on. It's not going to stop. She ain't backing down. At this point, you seem like you ain't backing down. I know it's not going to be in the $100 million range. It's not even going to be $50 million, I don't believe. But just freaking settle this, because I really just believe at this point it's about principle, and it's about the fact that you had an agreement with her and then you went back on that agreement right before you got drafted. So pay the woman her money and keep pushing, because once basketball starts back up, you don't want to be dealing with this stuff next season. Obviously, you probably ain't going to be in the playoffs this year, so it's not even if basketball is coming back for you or not. But next season, when you're actually healthy and have a full season ahead of you, you don't want to be dealing with this stuff. Just get it over with before next season starts.
Yeah, it's such a mess to carry in with you into a fresh new season. Jackie, if you had to guess how this was all going to play out, who do you think would win this legal battle?
So for me, as soon as she started filing whatever, court legal jargon to get this evidence about him accepting whatever he accepted at Duke, I would have been like, yo, my bad. You want to come over for dinner? Let's settle this. Because the only way you file an injunction is if there's something to find. So just kind of fall back, my guy. Like, give this woman her money, and okay, $100 million is a big ask. I get it, but I'm sure you guys can say, I said 25 million, Britt said around 50. But look, if you've got something to hide, people who don't have anything to hide don't file injunctions from you looking into their past, because there's nothing back there. Clearly there's something back there. Because if it's not her, even if you file an injunction on her, journalists all trying to break that big story. Somebody's going to find it. Somebody's going to break it. Protect your name. Settle now. Make this go away so we forget about it. It seems hella easy, but here we are.
Right. I have a feeling that if it was up to Zion, he wouldn't be going through all of this. I think that he has this team that's making these aggressive decisions sort of for him, and they're pushing him to do it. It kind of seems out of character for him, to me at least. But Chris, where do you stand on all of this?
Well, even if that is the case, he can still step in because, again, it is his team, meaning that
it's his
team.
Name.
Well, exactly. Their team is representing his name. So, no, I'm 100% with what both Jackie and Britt said. I think that this should have been settled a long time ago. Now we stepping in that 100. It's not going to happen, but now, it's getting to a point where it's going to start getting more and more messy, and it's not going to be good for Zion. And I don't care what the situation may be. So, I'm 100% on their side saying that this should have been solved well before we got to the point where we are right now. So, something needs to be figured out before this gets even worse. Because then, yes, like Britt said, if we go into next season and you still dealing with this and you're going to be healthy, you're going to have your first taste of playing a full year and you're dealing with this and your numbers aren't going to look the same because it's going to be very stressful. It's going to be, he needs to get this thing figured out sooner rather than later before you mess yourself up.
Yeah. Right. And can I TikTok back to me really quick? Because I do have something to add.
The only time we're going to see Britt TikTok right now.
I'm going to be on TikTok, okay? So this situation with like the Duke stuff, I feel like his mental thing is like, okay, this technically doesn't affect me. I have money now. Who cares if I took money, blah, blah. But he needs to look at the bigger picture of it. This is going to affect the new Duke athletes or whatever, because they're going to, like the same stuff happened with Reggie Bush, like I was talking about yesterday. Yes. Reggie Bush, yes, his Heisman got taken away, but the school and the students that were at the school at that time were not able to participate in bowl games for 2 years, and it affected them more than it affected Reggie Bush. So he's going to come into a situation where, and Duke got them signees. They have players that want to play there and that love basketball and that are really, it's the top of the top players. So you're going to get to a point where you're going to end up getting Duke in trouble to where it's going to, and I mean, by all means, whatever, because I'm a UNC fan, but just for the sake of the kids that play there, they're not going to be able to play in tournament games. They're not going to be able to do March Madness and stuff like that because of actions that you made while you were at the school, and then letting this continue on how it is with this case. Like, you're going to get Duke in trouble, and those students are going to be the ones that have to pay for your mistakes. So if you care about anybody else, finish this as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys. Well, on that note, I'm going to move on into our second story. This one's all about Scott Foster and what he thinks games will be like when the season resumes. So obviously, we've been talking about how the NBA is likely going to come back without fans. It's hard to imagine how that's going to look, and especially how that's going to sound like for the Lakers to play in an empty Staples Center. It's going to be an interesting experience, that's for sure. But referee Scott Foster said his job is going to be really different if there isn't a captive audience watching in person. He said, quote, "I don't know who I'd be more worried for, the players or referees at this point. I know I don't want everything that we normally say to each other going out, but normally we're all in a professional manner out there, but it is going to be different." He added, "I think we're going to need to really talk about and analyze what is okay for the public to hear and how we're going to go about our business. I think it's going to be a unique experience for the referees, players, coaches, and everybody who is going through this." It's interesting to, hear Scott saying this, considering he's had tense relationships and tense histories with various teams and athletes. So, Chris, I want to ask you, what kinds of things do you think Scott Foster is referring to when he says they need to analyze what the public should be hearing?
Well, what we have right here is a scared flock of zebras who are scared to have the public hear what they're actually saying behind the scenes. That's what's happening. Like, they don't want us to hear the stuff that they be delegating, like, no, that's not a foul. He did travel though, but it's James Harden, so foul number 23. No, that's what he's admitting. He's admitting it. He's admitting it, that he's scared that their conversations are going to be heard over the air from all of us, and the things that the memes and the jokes that we are going on Twitter talking about are actually going to be true. That these refs are out there finagling the game because they got a favorite player in LeBron James or a favorite player in Steph Curry, because that's just how the referees are, and they're not going to give a foul to a rookie because he's a rookie and stuff like that. So I feel like they're just scared about it. I was waiting for somebody to come out. I thought it was going to be a player first that's going to be a little bit scared that, I don't want them to hear what's going on between the game. But it seemed like all the players were cool with them. They didn't care. And that's why, like, a lot of them were like pushing to play in the practice facilities rather than playing in actual stadiums, because then you would hear it more. But the referees, look at the referees showing their heads first, because they're afraid, man, because they're saying some things that they know that they don't want us to hear them say.
Mm-hmm. So, Jackie, my question for you is, do you feel like these silent stands, these fanless stands, are going to impact the way coaches communicate with their teams? Is it going to change how they're able to strategize for an upcoming quarter?
I mean, I think a good coach is just going to embrace it and just figure out. I mean, I'm sure they all have their little codes or whatever. So I think that the coaches will be fine. And as far as the way that the players communicate, I mean, we'll hear a lot more F-bombs and stuff, and maybe words that we don't normally hear because there's fans in the stands. But trust me, the players don't give a damn. I think Chris is absolutely right. It's going to impact the refs more, because I had said when I saw this, I was like, I just know some of these refs are looking at each other going, what exactly is a travel again? What is for
real?
I legit think they don't know. So I think that who's going to be impacted the most is the refs. The coaches will definitely figure it out. They are intuitive like that. They've got that winning spirit. They're not going to lose a game just because you can hear them. The coaches will be fine, but the refs got to revisit that book and figure out some of these rules, and so they can look a little bit better now.
Britt, do you agree with Chris that having a fanless game is going to expose a referee's bias or maybe their lack of knowledge?
I honestly don't think the games are going to be fanless. Fanless, yes, but I don't think they're going to be silent, because if we're talking about what we've been recently talking about, where all the teams are basically like in one area together, like whether it's Orlando or Vegas, however they're doing it, that players don't have shit else to do. It's really going to be like summer league where you see all the players of the other teams in the stands watching the game. Like, so you're going to have like some kind of energy there. It's just going to be your colleagues versus fans that really don't know crap about what they're talking about anyway. But I really do believe because they're not going to have anything else to do, they're either going to be in their hotel room or playing. All the other players are going to be sitting there watching the games anyway. They will be in those stands, like whether it's just the first couple rows, they're going to be in there kind of watching it. You're going to get the same energy you do with the summer league. A lot of people don't really go to summer league like that. Like, obviously, if there's a big player playing, you'll get more fans there. But in Vegas, you don't really see a lot of fans in the stands, but you do see a lot of the players. Like Russ goes, LeBron goes, they'll all come and check out and support their young guys. So I think that's the same energy you'll see if the NBA were to resume in situations like Orlando or Vegas.
That's a good point.
I read something too that they were thinking about pumping sound into the stands, like pumping.
They do that already, honestly. I used to work for the Clippers, and like they actually do pump sound into it, like where it's like, oh, let me hear you guys, whatever. They're playing sound because you notice automatically, all of a sudden, once the whistle blows to start the game back, it automatically goes dead silent. If it was really fans screaming like that, then it would still continue, but it goes dead silent after that. So I worked for the Clippers and I know they pump sound in all the time. That's what they do anyway.
Ooh, I like this inside little tidbit of information. Right? I never knew that, so that's pretty neat. Okay, you guys, let's move into the third need to know news story. This one's all about Dame and who he thinks deserves the MVP award. He thinks it should go to LeBron. So this is what he said. Ooh. I think this season it's LeBron. They're the number one team in the West. They've been consistent all year long. And for him to be at the age he's at with the amount of miles that he has on his body, how often he's talked about the pressure that they've put on him in every little thing that he does at the level he's performing at, in my opinion, I think he is the MVP. So you guys know I love LeBron. We know that I don't quite match up to Jackie on this LeBron love level. My Bron sexuality is not quite as strong as hers.
Right, it's coming. It's growing. I'll get you there. Don't worry about it.
It's getting there, but I do love my Lakers, and I agree that what LeBron is able to do at his age is remarkable. And I think even when you take his age out of the equation, the contributions that he's made to his team make him a contender for the league MVP award alone, just, not considering his age at all. But I also think it's to remember that MVP doesn't consider age. They consider purely what you've done in that season as an athlete. So as much as I do think that LeBron deserves this award, it shouldn't be because of his age. And that's where I stand on it. I would love to see him walk away with that, but I wish the conversation was just around the performance, the contributions, as opposed to like, look what he's done at 35. So Jackie, I know you think that his age should factor into it. At least I remember us talking about this before we went in quarantine, and you mentioned that. So I want to hand it over to you. I want to hear your thoughts.
So I think, again, one of my favorite things to say is you got to look at the totality of the situation. And I know sometimes it's so funny. My mom, everyone in my family likes to dance. And so she'll get these young kids around my mom dancing, and she'll be like, I'll drop it, but I don't know if I can pick it back up again. And when she drops it and picks it back up, it's a big deal because she's too old to be doing that. And it's fascinating. And so she gets all this credit because she does that. And unfortunately, when you consider LeBron's career, you do have to factor in his age, especially when you look at his stats from the time he was 35 and 25, and he's actually improved as a 35-year-old. That means something. And so even if you want to say, oh, it just needs to mean what it means right now, when you talk about LeBron, we all talk about and say, okay, he's probably at the end of his career. He definitely wants to get a chip now because we know he's at the end. So for him to be putting up these numbers at the end of his career and still having the impact he does at the end of the career, whether you want to include that in the conversation or not, you have to, because it is a feat, and it's a feat we often don't see. We do see, someone kind of tapering off, maybe not being so good, but still kind of hanging on for dear life because they're athletes and they're just not ready to kind of phase themselves out of the game. LeBron is probably one of those athletes who doesn't want to phase himself out of the game, but he's still producing. He's still impacting. He's still facilitating the game better than anyone else we've seen. So I get what people are saying, that it shouldn't be because of his age, but I just don't know how you have a conversation about LeBron at this age and what he's doing and not consider that in some fashion. It just seems impossible to me.
Yeah, I think that what he has been able to accomplish at his age is super impressive. I just feel I don't like it when the conversation is like, but look what he's doing at 35. Yes, I think it adds more weight, but I just feel like for MVP, the focus should be on the season alone. But Britt, how do you feel about
on the season? Don't you think that he still should be MVP? You personally, Devin.
I think you should for sure.
If you're not giving him the credit, if you're taking the age completely out of it, then are you saying, because if you're just looking at the stats, his stats are similar to other people. I still think he's the MVP because of the way he impacts the Lakers specifically. And when you're talking an MVP, it's the most valuable player on that team. He's definitely the most valuable player on the Lakers. But is Kawhi not the most valuable player, on the Clippers? Is Giannis not the most valuable player in Milwaukee? You know what I mean? So if you're taking the age completely out of it, all of a sudden you have a bunch of guys who are exactly the same to me. That's just me.
Well, okay, I want to hear from you, Britt. I want to hear about what you think about what Dame said. I'm sure you agree with him, but fill me in on all your thoughts.
I don't agree with him. Like, just because he's my favorite player doesn't mean I agree with everything that he says. And the one that said it on the show way back that I don't. When you're talking about NBA MVP, it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't give a crap. Yes, when you're talking about somebody's career and what they were able to do. I mentioned before, Michael Jordan won NBA MVP when he was 35 years old. So, like, I understand that those things are at an age. Okay, cool. And, like, even to go off Jackie's mama, like, yeah, she got back up, so she gets a pat on the back for getting back up. But does that mean she wins the dance award, as the best dancer?
She did,
no,
actually.
It doesn't.
She did. I'm telling you, she won.
Doesn't win because she was older than everybody and was able to get back up. She wins because she's the best dancer. Like, that's the end of the thing. That's nobody care. Like, when you look at the Olympics, when you look at anything else, nobody's going to go, oh, well, she was able to do this at that age, so let's give her a few extra points. No, this is what the routine is. You either get these points or you don't. Everything else is judged based off of talent alone. Not saying LeBron isn't up there. He is one of, obviously, the top people for NBA MVP. My pick for this season was Giannis, and some people's is going to be LeBron. And I understand it because both of them are really, really good. I think Dame specifically also feels like LeBron James is it over Giannis. Is his number one thing that he said 3 times in that interview was he's the best team in the Western Conference. Dame is in the Western Conference, and he's on the borderline of making the playoffs or not. He's 3.5 games back. So obviously he believes the Western Conference is going to be more difficult because he wants to believe the fact that he didn't make the playoffs is because that conference is better than the Eastern Conference. He said before, if he was in the Eastern Conference, his team would be a playoff team. So he's saying that because he believes the Western Conference is way more dominant and LeBron's team is at the top of the Western Conference. So he is going to continue to have that same energy in conversations, whether as a league as a whole, because NBA MVP is not the best player on a team. It's the best player in the league for that particular season. It's the person who they believe impacted the league more that season. And some people are going to believe LeBron James is it. Some people are going to believe Giannis is it. And again, like we always talk about with these topics, nobody's going to change anybody's mind by saying anything that they believe. Some believe Giannis, some believe LeBron. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be surprised if it's Giannis or LeBron this year. I would be fine with any of them. But I personally think Giannis is MVP this year.
Okay, wait, I want to clarify. I meant to say that you don't agree with him because I knew this was your stance on it. So that was an incorrect slip of the tongue.
Girl, I don't.
I remember that. After I said that, I was like, wait, that's not what I meant to say. Chris, do you think that Dame has a point here?
Yeah, I think that's his truth. That's his opinion. And I think it makes sense. I love what Britt said at the very end. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to come down to a matter of opinion. I've said it so many times on this show, on my shows, wherever. The MVP for the longest time now has become a narrative, story, popularity contest driven award now. So I feel like every year it comes down to the best story or the most popular player ends up winning the MVP now. And I feel like because of the situation with LeBron, unfortunately, age is probably included in that in some people's minds, like Jackie had said, but it just overall, he is on the best team in the Western Conference. I understand that, Giannis' stats are probably better or whatnot, but one thing is Giannis was able to get his Bucks into playoffs 2 years in a row. Lakers weren't in the playoffs last year. Now they're in first place in the West. So there's so many narratives and so many stories that go around these things, and they're led by these players that, you know, can put anybody at the top of the list in anybody's mind. So I completely agree with Brett at the end. If LeBron ends up winning at the end of the year, I have no argument with it, because yes, he did do enough to get it. If it's Giannis, of course, I think it makes sense. Hell, if somebody wants to give some votes to James Harden went out there, did some crazy things this year too. So I feel like it always comes down to narratives and stories when it comes to the MVP every single year, MVP and Rookie of the Year. So that's how I feel about it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for giving me all of your opinions on these topics today. And now, Chris, what's happening in the world of social media?
Yes. It's time for Post Up. It's your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition, and we are starting off with some, speaking of opinions, a certain rookie, born-again rookie a la Ben Simmons, Michael Porter Jr. has some opinions, and let's just say not many people are agreeing with his opinions, but before I give that, you know, information, I want you guys to form your own opinion after reading the tweet that he had posted. Now, we talked about the unfortunate George Floyd news, and everyone had their opinions on that, and a lot of people probably were having the same opinion, but Michael Porter Jr. decided to add a little twist to his opinion. He tweeted this out saying, "As much as you pray for George's family, gotta also pray for the police officers who were involved in this evil. As hard as it is, pray for them instead of hate them. Pray that God changes their hearts." Pause for effect. All right, now as you'd expect, this was not taken the best. There are tons and 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 tons of responses that were very, very, very hateful, and in my opinion, kind of warranted and kind of deserved, because although I see what you're trying to get at, this isn't the movement, or this isn't the time to try and put that kind of stamp on something like this. It's just, to me, it feels very disjointed, but I'm not alone on this one, because we have some NBA players, his own peers, that are out here going at him, with Mike Scott, in just 2 words, probably has the best response, saying, "Hell nah," to respond to his tweet. And then Nick's own ex-Clipper, I got you, Britt, Mo Harkless also responded to this, saying, "Somebody talk to their rook, please," facepalm. And I think Mo Harkless had probably the best response, because, you know, these rookies he's probably trying to go out there and try to have his LeBron James statement where people be like, "Yeah, I stand by Michael Porter." Just, it fell short. So it's one of those things that one of these vets got to come and reel him back in, like, "Yo, kid, you could feel that, but let me tell you something. You saying this at a time like this, you are going to get everything that you deserve." And I feel like that is what's happening right now. So very curious, because we talked about everything we talked about yesterday, and I want to know how you guys felt about the tweet laid out by Michael Porter Jr. Do you see where he was coming from? Does it matter? Do you think that it was as disjointed as it actually was? I want to start with you, Jackie, when, you know, being the Denver girl you are, just the only connection I have to this, because I know that's the only connection you want with this kind of tweet. How did you feel about the Michael Porter Jr. response?
I haven't had an opportunity to talk to anyone regarding this tweet that I know in Denver. However, being born and raised in Denver, and actually how I paid for the final years of my colleges, I was a police cadet and working with the police department out there. And I can tell you hands down, it was one of the most racist, motivating experiences I have ever had. So I just wanted to find out if this was literally him falling victim to Denver. One of the reasons I will never, ever go back to Denver to live is because it's racist as hell. There's just no sugarcoating that. It's racist as hell. And so there's a part of me that wants to know what bubble he was in. Like, is it just people around him saying, you know, well, that cop is a man too. You know, he made a mistake, making a mistake. Yeah. This was not that. This was definitely a racist motivated. And I can tell you when I was out there for a very short time during the Colin Kaepernick thing, you know, everyone, the things that they said about Colin Kaepernick, all the way from the N-word to this is why Black people are the way they are. I just wonder if he was in this bubble of, let me try to side with this evil, because he said that in his tweet. Like,
it's in the tweet. Yes, it's in the tweet.
And I don't know how you pray for evil. Evil is just evil. You know what I mean? You can pray that it is removed, but you can't pray that it becomes good. That's just not how that works. So I would just love to find out what he was in, what bubble he was in, who was in his ear that made him think, well, hey, this guy's a person too. I would just love to find that out.
Yeah,
Because
like I
this is
said, very
it's very
disjointed.
but it's embarrassing.
And Bray, I want to bring it to you. Like I said, and a few people I spoke to, like they kind of pointed out to me because that's fine. Just I was going to say, yeah, be me, Jack. Just be me. Somebody be me. No, but what I was going to say was
like Chris.
Right. To stem off of what Jackie just said, though, like I spoke to some people who saw what he was trying to go for, disagreed. No one agreed with what he said, but they were trying to go see what he's going for, because I know some people that are very spiritual. So they're, taking that route. Well, God needs to, pray for him still, they have evil and they need to see their wrongs and this and that. Do you feel like even something like that still doesn't explain why he would put a tweet out like this at the time, at the time that he put the tweet out?
So I am one of those people. I try to be empathetic to people's situations and understand what they're kind of coming from. And I understand what he is trying to say. Like, I don't think that he's saying like, oh, well, they're in a bad situation, so let's pray that they're okay too. I don't think I didn't read it like that. I read it like, they need help. Let's pray for them because they got issues, and that's how I read it. But what he missed is, Michael, you need to read the room. That was not the time or the place to say anything, because most people are going to read that as very dismissive to the victim and his family who just lost their loved one, and him who just lost his life. That was very submissive how it came off. You did not read the situation at that point, because the situation and social media and everybody in the room was saying one thing, and then you're like, but wait, no, this is not a moment to say, but wait. Like, we needed to sit back. We need to let the situation happen. I'm not one to sit here and say how people react to stuff is wrong. Like, I'm not going to be, we don't need people like Martin Luther King who are going to be nonviolent. And I'm going to say, we don't need people like Malcolm X who are going to be, like, if you come at me, I'm coming back at you. I'm not here to argue that situation. I think both of them are needed in situations. And I'll talk about that later on. Maybe that's a hint to Britt's take, but I think both of those things are needed. I'm here to say, in that moment, you did not read the room properly, and you did not realize this is not the time for that post, And it's okay if you believe that privately, and it's okay if you want to talk to your family about it, or it's okay if you want to drop down on your knees and pray to God yourself about a situation. But to tweet that in that moment was not cool. Like, it just it didn't make sense to do that. And I do think, like what Mo Harkless said, somebody needs to talk to him, because he is young. He just doesn't understand a lot of things. And he probably, he's mixed. He probably wasn't raised as fully as maybe some Black people were, where they understand something. I don't know his history and how he grew up or whatever the case is, but sometimes people are in situations where they go to all white schools or go to whatever, and they just don't get it, and they're trying to get it. They're trying to understand, but he missed it by a long shot on this one.
Yes.
And I'm surprised he hasn't taken the tweet down. I thought it was going to be taken down shortly after. He's kept it up there a little bit ago before the show aired, and it was still up there. So I understand to stick by what you believe, but I just think this was the wrong timing and the wrong moment to do it, and he should have done it silently to himself and his family.
See, but I think he did read the room. I think he read the room he was in. And I think that when you're talking about people who are around him, and when you're talking about Denver, maybe he's not in the room, the rest of the world is in, or specifically Black people, because I can tell you he's not the only person who read the room like this. He just happens to be an athlete with a blue check mark, so we're talking about it. But I'm saying when it comes to Denver, I am 1,000% sure that he was affirmed in this belief system. I'm positive of that. So he read the room that he was in, and he just can't figure out why the rest of us ain't in the same room.
I just feel like the room is so, when I'm talking about the room right now, I'm talking about social media. That is the room because we are all quarantined or in small places.
And that's how I took
when
that
I'm talking
too,
about
right.
the room, I'm talking about the social media room. Like he saw posts and a bunch of stuff on social media before he decided to tweet himself. So that was the room that he should have been in and should have realized, not his private home where he's sitting looking in the mirror thinking about something. No, the room is social media, and he saw all that stuff before he decided to post anything.
He put his opinion in that room.
He didn't talk about what he
exactly.
said in his personal room, which maybe he should have done. He put it in the room of social media.
Has he commented again on that at all?
No, he does not. No, he has not. He has not. Nope. Nothing. And that's what I was gonna bring it to them before we move on. That was my exact question, because Britt said it. The tweet is still up, and Mo Harkless went out to him and told him, like, yo, any of these vets over there in Denver, y'all, this great team, whatever, there's tons of vets, get any of these guys, go and speak to him. So Devin, I'm just curious, just from that perspective, the fact that he's leaving the tweet up, and Britt said it perfectly, like, everyone has their, they can stay strong with the way they feel, but in a situation like this where he's getting the backlash he got, don't you think it's about time that Michael Porter Jr. takes down that tweet?
Yeah, takes down that tweet or issues some sort of apology, or if he feels like he needs to clarify it. I think at this point he needs to come out and say, I saw the responses. I see where you all are coming from. It was poorly timed. I wasn't thinking in the right mind. I wasn't thinking about the situation as a whole. I think he absolutely should do that, because a lot of people found his tweet to be offensive, and they found it to be like kind of dismissive. So the fact that it's still up there and then he hasn't said anything to even attempt to rectify the situation is pretty strange.
Yeah, it's all backwards. But hey, moving off of that, we're gonna go back into the positive side of Posta. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, no one has spoken. I would assume they spoke to him behind the scenes. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Somebody said something behind the scenes, and he's just still being young. He didn't take it down. But anyways, moving off of that, Michael Porter Jr. Moving off of it, moving into Russell Westbrook. Now, I've talked about it many times on the show. Hairline issues. We've all talked about it. Ha ha he. Chris ain't got a hairline, and I would have to show you hairline still there. It's not a problem. Okay. So Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, I thought I was getting it bad. Now he's getting it pretty bad too. But the thing is, Russell Westbrook got a bigger mouth than me, and he's gonna lash back a lot more angry than I will. So Boss, for people who may or may not know, he's a celebrity trainer that works out with guys like Kevin Hart, Dre Songs, like all the LA celebrities out here. And he was working out with Russell Westbrook, who's been out here in LA during this quarantine with his family and stuff like that. So after their workout, it looks like in the video, Boss just had enough with Russell Westbrook coming into his gym or garage or whatever it is, looking like how he's looking, and he told him it's time to cut his hair. And Russell Westbrook responded how Russell Westbrook would respond. Sorry, parents out there, if you're watching this.
Need to get a haircut today. Sick of seeing your ass like that.
And there's Russell Westbrook, ladies and gentlemen. I can't.
Oh my God, I cannot.
The cut was so perfect. I love our cut right after.
My God,
can't do it with that. Yep. I love
all that bass in it
what
too.
we're gonna hear when
the echo
zooms and there's no fans. That is what
yes.
we're gonna hear.
Get used to it. Right. Get used to it. Russ gonna be saying that a lot. He's gonna take his own team. Right. Moving on to we talked about LeBron James. Talking about LeBron James again. Now, LeBron James is a man known to be doing all kinds of crazy workouts. Sometimes they may be wrong, but other times you see him doing his workouts the right way. Now, this time, LeBron James may have seen a workout that he has yet to do, and he wants to add to his list of workouts over the quarantine, because Marlon Humphrey, who is a cornerback for the Ravens, posted this video of him climbing a whole gravel wall mountain, if you will, at a construction site. And LeBron James, he loved what he saw. He said, would love to do that. That's a good old workout right there. And he put on the strong emoji, the crown emoji, and all that stuff. So yeah, look, LeBron James is, I will say it, the dude is in shape and he's great. We get it. LeBron James is LeBron James physique. We get it. But the thing is, I would love to see old man, Kimbo Slice beard, 6'8" LeBron James trying to run up that hill. I believe, Cleveland tour one, LeBron James would do that seamlessly. Let me tell you something. LeBron gonna get up there. He gonna have to ask for AD to give his, go gadget arms to bring him back down. I don't know if LeBron getting up that hill. So I'm all for it, but Jackie, you don't like the hate. Is that too much hate? Is that too much hate? I'm not hating. It's not hate. I just feel like LeBron. He
Have
knows
you ever done that? Have you ever
buddy.
tried that? Have you ever
Looks
tried
hard.
that?
No, but it looks difficult.
I've tried that, and it's not. It takes a tremendous amount of core and obviously lower body strength, and then if you bite it, you've got gravel in your face. It's not fun.
Oh yes, that is what I want to see.
I want to see you don't know. I bit it, so yeah.
Right. That's
I'm
regular.
just saying, don't
like,
do that.
hardwood. That is like whatever.
Right.
We need to. I'm saying
Yes.
this for you, Jackie. We need to preserve LeBron James's knees, so he
I'm
don't
saying
need to
Right.
be trying that.
That
Okay.
will destroy
Right.
He don't need
his
to be
knee.
trying that. Because
Whatever
if
knees
it's just a
you have
regular,
left.
if it was like a cement hill, go ahead,
Right.
give it your best shot. But that gravel, that's a different kind of animal.
Mhm. The gravel's trying to go
Destroy
down,
his
you
knee.
trying to go up, your face plants, and then it's a whole thing. There's video, but I'm not gonna even get into that.
Wait,
That's
Jackie,
embarrassing.
we need to see your video.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's video of it. You can't say
Video.
that and then not put it on here. All right,
I'm only
well,
saying that because
stay
I have a
tuned.
feeling my friends from Denver are watching this and being like, "Oh, since she blasting us on how racist that we
Yes.
are, let's post this video of her
Please.
face planting into some gravel."
I'd
Like
like
I
to
said
see
at
it.
the top of the show, my name is Chris Clark. You can follow me and find me everywhere at CK2K. So if you so happen to slide a certain video into my DM, look, whatever happens to it after that, I won't say anything. Okay,
God.
It's
okay.
gonna be on the post up tomorrow.
That would be so embarrassing. I will
maybe.
die. I will walk out. I will walk out. I'd be like, okay, bye.
Maybe
Bye.
I'm gonna have to pull a Britt Johnson and not say a damn thing, and then poof, it's on your screen. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a
Say
Britt's
less,
take on
say
that
less.
one. Moving on
Got
to
some
the
for
next.
that
Oh
ass.
man, I have. Look, this next one I have. When I saw this, I was livid. Now let me tell you something. Little Chris, when I was playing and in AAU, I was playing for wherever I played. Okay, let me tell you something. I was a fast dude, and the thing is, when coaches see that you are a fast guy, they expect you to run all the time. So God forbid, one time I put my hands on my head tired or put my hands on my knee tired, and the minute you do that, you are murdered. The coach will be like, "Hey, you can take a breath on your own time, Clark," or "Hey, take some more laps if you're so damn tired." You can, all kinds of stuff. Well. Full circle, ladies and gentlemen, because we are finding out that if you put your hands on your knees and you bend over, that is actually helping your heart rate recover a lot faster, as well as when you put your hands on your head. Leo, look at this. Look at my man. That was me. That was me when I all the way from like 9 years old all the way to like 18. That was me all the time because my coaches always be overworking me. But anyways, this thing says the study found that the hands-on knees posture resulted in superior heart rate recovery and greater tidal volume, the amount of air inhaled into the lungs with each breath, compared to the hands-on head posture. Now, see, that's the thing. We were told that you're not supposed to bend over, you're supposed to keep your hands on head, but the thing is, my coaches didn't even want the hands on head thing. I got in trouble for that, but I know a lot of my other friends, like, they prefer that than that. That don't work the same way, man. Anyways, we got other athletes, too, that have made the league and that are making money from their profession, not just somebody that just played AAU and then didn't play college sports. We got JJ Watt out here who is saying every youth/high school coach ever has some explaining to do. We all knew that hands-on head thing was bogus. Yes, even though, like I said, my coaches didn't like that either. And then we got Kevin Durant saying wow, and Justin Thomas saying I did that about 10 times today in my workout. Look, I would call all my coaches out by government, but the thing is, I know none of them are watching because they probably don't know how to work their computer still to this day. But all I'm saying is I'm looking at you and I'm upset, okay? I'm upset that I ran so many extra lines because I put my hands on my knees. And the thing is, I used to watch a lot of Tracy McGrady in all of his clips, he was doing the same thing after scoring all his points. So I was just like, T-Mac does it, I can do it too. And it worked, but I got in trouble for it. Anyways, I have a special kind of feeling with this one. And there's a lot of people too. These are just famous people that had their responses. There are other people like me who never made their college teams and stuff like that, but still went through the rigors of their coaches making them run extra lines that felt the way I did. And for you guys, I see you guys and I feel your pain.
I always did that particular post when I heard the words 99 and 2000, and then I was able to twerk the whole entire video, so it works, okay? Like, but I didn't know in that moment
I am
that
done with you, Britt. I am so done with you right now.
And my twerking, but it did, okay? So everybody should have looked at twerkers back in the day,
right?
Because they knew.
Devin is like 99 in the 2000. What are you talking about right now?
Explain it. I have to admit, I don't know what you're telling me.
Beginning song, back that ass up.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I made it through the entire song.
Oh, that was fantastic.
I'm so sick.
Okay.
That makes me even more mad.
I thought you would still have that one, Devin. I thought you would still one.
You should have seen her face instantly. Was like 99 into the what?
That was awesome. That one went over my head just like Cat did. No cap.
And last but not, I'm gonna keep this last one real quick so we can move on because I know we got the same. We got Conor McGregor and Anderson Silva. There's supposedly supposed to be this super match that's supposed to be coming up. Anderson Silva, he said all these nice things about Conor, but then in that same post, then challenged Conor McGregor to a fight. And Conor McGregor, who not too long ago was out there talking about that he's the GOAT, and not him too, but he was talking about Anderson Silva is like pound for pound one of the best MMA fighters and this and that. He then saw this challenge and he is accepted. So now supposedly there's supposed to be some, in their words, not mine, super fight coming about. And I are we supposed to be excited about this or not? Like, I'll watch it, cool, but I don't know if there's something because so he's like 45 years old, and in his 2 fights last year he didn't win none of them. So I just don't know. I don't know what we're gonna get from this. So I feel like this is like if we saw Michael Jordan right now playing against LeBron James and LeBron James beating them like 11-10, and then you hear LeBron James tweeting about like, good for you, dog, but he's in his 60s, but like I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know. Are we supposed to be excited about this real quick? I'll hand this over to you, Jackie, first. Is this something we should be excited about?
That is a no from me. That's just
right.
No.
Britt, how you feeling about this? Yeah, you excited about this one, Britt?
I remember a specific fight where Anderson was talking all that shit. He was going around, hey, come here, buddy, and got knocked the out.
Destroyed.
So no, I don't want to see that. And that was when he was still in his prime. So let's not do that.
I don't know, but hey, it's gonna be the super fight, guys. So stay tuned. But that's all I got for post up. Yeah, super slow fight, right?
All right, Jackie, now take us real quick into WTF. I want something weird.
Okay, well, we're going to get through this quick, guys. I don't know about weird, but I will definitely say silly because you guys know I dwell in the kingdom. You know, as LeBron James fans, we have stats on the ready to prove that he is the GOAT. But I just want to talk to the kingdom real quick, and I just want to tell you guys we need to relent on this specific point. MJ fans will spend way more money than we will because we are smarter. We're more savvy. We'll open schools if we're going to spend stupid money. But you could spend over $500,000 on some MJ tennis shoes if you wanted to. So these sneakers, they were worn by Jordan. They said iconic, but to me, especially since they look dirty, I'm just not paying $567,000 for these shoes. Went for an auction. It was a 10-day auction over 4 continents, and the bidders, they were cool for about the first 10 days, but the last 20 minutes, they lost their damn mind, and all of them started bidding like crazy. One guy was just like, screw it, went straight up to $300,000. The auctioneer was only expecting them to go for $150,000. Like I said, they went for $567,000. They are the highest shoe sale ever. Jordan fans have that. He is the GOAT in shoe sales. I will allow it, and I hope that we never spend this kind of money as LeBron James fans. I just hope that we're smarter than this. But, I'll let y'all have that one, Britt. Y'all are the GOATs with the shoe sales. I'm going to let y'all have that one. So I don't have a lot to say about that one, but I don't think Tim Duncan does either because now with the whole Last Dance thing, everything that anyone ever said about Jordan is surfacing. And so there's a 1988 interview Tim Duncan did with Dan Patrick, and he said that he just wasn't he was just meh when it came to Jordan. Patrick asked him, did he like Michael Jordan? He was like, I respect him, but I don't like him. Dan Patrick asked him why, and he was like, because everybody else does. And so Patrick was like, "Oh, see, you just don't like him because he has a lot of fans." And Tim Duncan was like, right? He says, "No, I've always respected him, but I've never been a fan of his. I'm just somebody that isn't impressed by him. There really isn't anyone in the world that I am impressed with." So that's very Tim Duncan. Just kind of like,
That's the most Tim Duncan quote. Oh,
yeah, right.
my God.
It doesn't get more Tim Duncan-y than that, in my opinion.
Right.
But I thought it was cute that it's surfacing now. Right. All right, Chris, warm it up. Sit up straight now. Get your vocal cords right.
I'm ready.
Because now it is time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
All right. It is time for Brit's Takes. If you guys were late, it's okay because we're just getting to the good stuff now. Just kidding. The whole show is actually really good. Make sure you check it all out. But today I'm going to talk really quick. We're short on time. But just days after George Floyd was basically publicly lynched by a Minnesota police for allegedly forging a check, the University of Minnesota's school president, Joan Gable, made an announcement that the university would no longer be using the Minnesota local police department to assist at major events like football games. She released a statement that went out to faculty members and students that basically said this. I'll read a little bit of it, but if you really want to go read the whole thing in its entirety, it's actually pretty moving and good, and I loved what she said. She is a white woman, by the way. Joan said, "Our hearts are broken after watching the appalling video capturing the actions of the Minneapolis Police Department officers against George Floyd, leading to his tragic death. As a community, we are outraged and grief-stricken. I do not have the words to fully express my pain and anger, and I know that many in our community share those feelings, but also fear for their own safety. This will not stand." The student body president, who is an African-American female, also had a part in the letter that was released, and she has stated this: "We no longer wish to have a meeting or come to agreement. There is no middle ground. The police are murdering Black men with no meaningful repercussions." The letter also mentioned at the very end, we must act when our neighbors are harmed and in pain. Now, the location where George Floyd was actually murdered at was less than 5 miles from the campus and the stadium. So it literally was like, to have a university come in and say something like this, like, you know what, we need protection for the football games and stuff like that, but they said we are not using the Minneapolis Police Department any longer. They're not using them for, they even have because they have a bomb unit, they have all this kind of stuff. They're not using them for basically anything. So if you read the whole letter, it goes down the list of all the things, but just because this is a sports show, I went into the football game, which is actually one of their biggest outsourcing funds for money for the police department is those football games, because they need a lot of officers working them. So for them to take that moment and take it away from them, I don't even actually have a take for this, because that week in and of itself, like, these two queens came together, at the student body president and the president of the school came together and said, you know what? We are not giving these people any more of our money. You know, yes, you actually take our tax dollars and that funds a good portion of the police department, but the police departments privately get private funds from tons of people, you know, for different things, whether it's a wedding or whatever kind of situation, you're having somebody come for an event or whatever, and you're using police officers, they have to pay fees for that. And now the University of Michigan or Minnesota said they're not going to be doing that. So I actually, I know we were talking about Michael Porter Jr.'s response earlier, and kind of what I wanted to say is, I don't think there's any one certain way to do stuff. You can do it Martin's way, which is kind of what Michael Porter Jr. was saying a little bit. You can do it Malcolm's way, or now you can do it the University of Minnesota's way, and that is to hurt them in their pockets and see if maybe that helps. But I really think all of them put together, all of those different ways of acting against this police department and against police brutality in general, is to hit them at every single angle. Let's take it from their pockets. Let's pray for them. Let's do stuff when we need to do it. Like, I think there's no one way to do it right. And I think Minnesota kind of showed us or University of Minnesota kind of showed us another way that we can go in and be effective in this situation. And that's to hurt them, where technically a lot of people think it counts most, and that's in their pockets. Because if you're not listening to what we're saying, if violence is just going to create more violence, then maybe if you start getting less money from people, you'll finally start paying attention and listening. I don't know if one way is the other, but I loved that these queens decided to do this for the entire campus. Like, that is so amazing. I actually don't even have anything to ask y'all, because at this point, this is a Brits take. This is not up for debate. But if you guys want to share your shouties, queens, you are more than welcome to do that at this time. But I made a nobody on nothing, because I think this is a great situation, and I am so proud of the University of Minnesota for what they did in this moment. Shout out to these people.
Yeah, but all I gotta say is little steps are bigger than people like to give them credit for. So I think something like that is huge. So yeah, a huge shout out to them. That's dope.
Britt, I really liked what you said about how you have to hit them from a bunch of different angles, a multi-pronged approach. I don't even know if that's the right word, but something that covers a bunch of different angles, a bunch of different prongs, I guess is the word I'm going with. That's, I think, going to be the most effective. And I'm totally with you. I think that this was a great move, and it's something that I hope that, other schools and other companies, follow suit with. Jackie, before I close out the show, is there anything that you'd like to add here?
No, I think Britt nailed it on this one. Because me personally, I saw this and I had the Brits take instantly. I was like, oh my God, it always takes the women to step up and do things the right way. This is dope as hell.
Queens.
You know what I mean?
Even Black Lives Matter was started by women.
Right. So I was like, yeah. On the other side, I did feel like, okay, because this is one guy. There's probably the Sandra woman, the EMT that was killed in her home because of a no-knock warrant. This is just this week. You know what I mean? So there was a part of me that was like, well, where was y'all when all of this has been happening? Now you want to step up, and I'm ready to shut the shit down. And it's like, you know what I mean? I'm ready to go full on Malcolm, which my nickname is Malcolmina X or whatever. But I'm just like, is it too late? You know what I mean? Because now we just mad as hell. And now if this, I just wonder if this had happened when Eric said, I can't breathe. If somebody had stepped up and said, right, like then all of this could have been avoided. And now it's like, have we gone so far now that now the bottom literally just has to fall out because now we just have to go through it, because now we mad and now we just got to get it through? Or can this one step actually mean something? And I think one step, if it turns to two steps, will mean something, but one step by itself, I don't think will be enough. Right, so I'm hoping that these ladies, once again, it has to fall on us, but that's fine. We don't mind. I'm hoping that these ladies are setting the tone for other people to kind of catch up. So that was just my own.
And I love how the student body president, her thing was like, no, we're not meeting with them anymore. We're not agreeing to come to middle grounds anymore. We don't need to talk to y'all. This is what we're doing. They didn't even say anything about we are going to see what we can figure out with the police department and see if they both said this is not, we're done. You've already taken us to that limit to where we're not talking to you guys anymore. Right. We're making decisions without you guys, and this is the decision we decided to make. So I thought that was amazing and powerful in and of itself, and I think that was the next step, because they've probably already done years and years of talking, and they're like, this isn't working. So now our next step is we're not asking you guys anything anymore. This is what we're doing. We don't need you guys to come and release statements saying you're sorry. We're done with that. We're moving to this in the next action we're taking as a university, because it's also a school. So you can tell the school, the president can't go tell the students, hey, let's go riot down the street, or let's go rebel, or whatever. I would rather call it rebel than riot, but let's go rebel down the street and whatever. I think she did everything she could in her power, and that was, we're not giving you guys any more money because this is a campus and I can control who protects us at this campus, and we don't feel protected by you guys, so we're done with you. And I thought that was very powerful in and of itself, and I loved it, and I can't wait to see more schools step up and other businesses or whatever step up and say, oh, you know what, let's not have the police department help us here. We'll hire a separate, because there's other security services that can come in and private services that can do all that kind of stuff. So shout out to them. I think that was a good step. And again, we just need to step by step continue to move forward and help each other do that.
Yep. Hint, hint, NFL follow suit. If the NFL does it, I'm going to pass out. Straight pass out.
I'll put the salt by your nose, so I got you.
Right,
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, that's our show for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the Fumble, tap the bell for notifications, hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and share this video with your friends. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so we will see you then. Bye.
Peace.
9-9 into the 2000.
I can't believe that.